In this video, we're going to explore chart.js moving average, which is of course in the chart.js library in JavaScript, and this is version 2. And the reason version 2 is it's not that this is version 2, which it is, basically it's version 2.9. However, I created another video and I was not satisfied with the end result as I indicated in there, and this is basically the updated version. So we're going to explore this, and this is really more an exploring part of it, because what was the problem with the previous version? It was not really predicting. It was basically showing and it had to get the future data to predict the future, which doesn't make sense, because then basically if you need to get the future data to predict the future, it means that you don't have a real trend predictor, because it's ridiculous. So I was dissatisfied with that, and I want to get based on old data. I want to be able to predict where the chart will go in the future, which is the moving average. This is a moving average chart. If you're looking at moving averages is a chart designed for the stock market, where they can predict the stock going up or down depending on the position of the chart, or the closing of the closing of the day of the stock. And if the moving average basically is a line that's an average line, is below a certain price of a stock, it would mean that the price is above average, meaning that it's probably better to sell your stock. Of course, I'm not a stock expert. Go research this stuff if you're really planning to use a moving average for your investment portfolio, but I assume you're probably not going to do that, or if you do, go for it. However, I assume that you probably want to code it in this case. So how do we get here? So right now, this would be a moving average here. We should have a line which can predict based on the 3 data points. So what I want to do is I want to get 3 data points. So let's say this one is 0, 10, and 5. These here all together should create a prediction starting from this point on. And then after that, we start to move on. And as we move on, we can see, all right, where are we in the chart? So let's start and explore here. So what we're going to do is we need to get this array. This is the array that we're going to work with, which is our most important array. To make sure that this array is a constant, I'm going to assign it I'm going to give this a constant. This will be the constant of stock closing. I have no idea what's the real term for that. I should know this, as I did research before about this. However, doesn't matter for now. All right, stock value, yes, or the closing value. That's basically it. And then if you are familiar with what is it, the candle charts, where they have the opening, closing value, and the high and the low, which is also very interesting. ChartJS has those things, by the way. It's a nice video to make. Maybe next time. All right, stock value here. I'm gonna put it in here. So once I do this, we now have our value here, and we created a constant, and this constant is now being read here. Let's save this, refresh. You can see here nothing changes while we created a constant. All right, so this is good. Now what we want to do is basically this. We want to predict based on this the next step. So what happened is the first 2 data points we're not going to use, because we're going to use a moving average of 3, meaning we're going to get the 3 values, the first 3 values, and then divide them here by 3 to get the number. And then as we can see, we keep on going there. So basically it is starting from here, would indicate the 3rd data point. This one would indicate the next data point. All right, so there's probably a way to do this, but I will probably not do that for now. Just thinking about it, because right now I have not really a clear understanding of how to do it. The first way I would say is, let's define the problem, or first of all what we want. It's always a step. This is very important. This is how I'm learning coding, and this is what you always should do. Outcome. Next 2 is the problem. Finally 3, the steps to coding, basically. So what is the outcome? Well, the outcome is getting the 3 data points, loop them, and loop and get average, and it should be consistently. So for example, if we have this, where do we want to pinpoint them? Well, let me be clear. If we get these three datas, it's on this part here, so the third element should have the average. So basically here I'm not able to calculate the first two elements. What I did in another video, I did exactly the opposite. I was calculating the first two elements and then predicting the future based on future data, which doesn't make sense, of course. Alright, you can do it to a certain extent, but if I move an average of 20 days, that would mean that I need to have 20 future data points to predict the future, which is ridiculous. Alright, so sorry about that one. If you watch that one, it gives you some understanding, but it's not the right one. Next, oh, what's the problem here? How to get the loop plus average of data point 1 and 2. Yeah, so the moment we got here, how do we get the average? Probably divide by 1, or here maybe not even to divide, no need to divide, and this one divide by 2, as we have 2 data points, and then we have here, and if starting from that, it will work. So this means that the first 2 values will be always an error. Alright? And after that we have to figure out how can we do this correctly. Alright, so next here is steps in coding. So what I want to do now, the following is here basically the steps in coding is to figure out what do we need. Well, first of all, what are we going to do? We want to loop it. We need a for loop. That will be the number, well, probably not really the number 1, but definitely necessary. What we need to do is we need to calculate. So we're going to slice to get 3 data points. Then we have to calculate the average of slice. The only issue will be data point 1 and 2, data point 1 and 2, how to slice. Maybe we don't need even to slice first. Let's see. Finally, probably maybe an if statement. I'm just figuring out if statement can be a good option here. Yes, and what we need as well is length, array length. Alright, getting the length of the array for the loop. Alright, so now we get this. Is this 100% accurate? To be honest, I feel like we might be missing something, but it doesn't matter for now. Probably reduce the average, here, sorry, average of slice reduce. Alright, so let's start with the first part. Okay, let's get just the only 3 data points and just figure out if we can get these here. Alright, so to do this we create a new, I will say a constant, and this is the moving average array. So that's number 1, or well, that's one of the things we need. Next, what we need to do is let's get the data point. So basically the first 2, I will just put in here 0 and 5 for now, and after that it starts to become easier. Yes, so these are the ones we can get, but because this we can divide and then we can get this here. These 2 we don't know yet. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is the following. So I will say here, we'll say slice. Yes, we're going to get the stock value dot slice. What are we slicing? Well, we're slicing the first value, which is the index 0. Starting with index 0, and then we're going to get the 3 elements. So 3 elements, yes. And probably what I will do here is we say constant is moving average number, I guess. I'm not sure what's the best to say here. Let's say here that equals is 3. Alright, that's this. Yes, because so that would mean that if later on we maybe want to change our mind, we want 10, 20, which is very common. We want 20, 10, and 15 or 5. You have that as well. Alright, so we can immediately adjust this. Alright, so we get the stocks, this, and then slice. Alright, let's get a console.log, open this up, save, and let's see what happens here. Refresh here, open up developer tab. Oh, sorry. Open developer tab. What is our message here? There we are. Let's remove this. Array is 3. Alright, so we've got this. The next part, what we want to do is we want to calculate this. So what I want to say here, and I'll just say here, this will be constant moving average numbers equals that, and then I will say here of I'll probably say I will just say average numbers because we're using a lot of moving average and it can get confusing. Alright, so we have the average numbers, alright, or the values. Now what we have is, what we want to do is, we want to delete, not delete, sorry, we need to do a reduce. What we're going to do is we're going to calculate together. So reduce this. Oh, what are we doing here? Sorry. What does reduce do? Well, if you've seen the other video, which you absolutely should, so you know, it basically calculates to one single value. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get the values that we have, and then when we say is here total, okay, we say total and comma num. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the total and then plus num. Every time there's a num value or a number, which is for example here, there will be 3 datas, which would be this. So the first one will be 0 plus 0, which is the first value here, num. Okay, and then the next one, then it will reiterate, so it will repeat itself. 0 plus 10, all right, then it's 10, which is correct. The num is 10, and then 10, because it starts with the total, plus num, which is 5, 15. All right, so we get this, and then if we say here, make sure that this, and divide by average, moving average number, which is number 3. All right, so we should get now console.log, open this up, and here, save this, refresh, 5. All right, this is correct. 15 divided by things. All right, so now you got this. This is correct. Then what are we going to do now? Well, we figured out we need to push this into the array here, the moving average array. So we do here, we say this dot push. What are we pushing? Basically, this entire piece of code. Put it in here, remove the semicolon here, and put it at the very end. All right. So we loop this, we do this, we reduce, we push. All right. Then we have the array length. All right, I guess we are already done here. We can basically loop this. Well, that went quite fast, to be honest. All right, well, let's don't share too fast. Let's start to continue. So what we're going to do now, what is the next part here? So we're done here, we have this, we push this array. So once we push this, let's look here. Console.log, save this, refresh. All right, we push now the number 5. All right. So what can we do here? And this is the following. We need to loop this. What we're going to do is we're going to loop this now. We create a for loop and where we can keep on pushing it until there is no more data to push. All right. We say here for, and then here we're going to put in the things. We say here I equals 0. If you want to know what means I iterate, or reiterate. Basically means repeating multiple times, because this is what we call an instance. I stands for instance. That's probably the reason why they use I very commonly. It's an instance that we reiterate consistently. And reiterate means repeating a number of times. So how many times are we repeating? Well, that will depend. Depend on what? Depend on our stock value length here. So we're going to repeat this. Yes, by length. So we say I. So if we keep on reiterating as long as I is smaller than stock value dot length. But however, remember here we need to delete 2 items here. We need to reiterate it only multiple times. How many times? Not 8 times, but -2, because we already got 2 data points here. We can later use a if statement for that. So I say here -2. All right. So we only reiterate this, and that is correct. This, etc., etc. All right. So once we have this, then we say I++. All right. Put in this here. Let's move this in here, and then eventually I'll just put in the console log here. And let's jump in here. So, all right. So we have this, and let's double check now if we have the right value. If you have a moving average with 8 data points. So what I want to do is here, we have all of these, but I also want to do here length. So we can double check if we get the array with 8 elements. All right, refresh. All right, there we are. Something is going wrong here, as you can see, which is fine. Yes, in my other video you saw it as well. but we have here, let's see how many times are we iterating. Well, you can see here 8 data points. Alright, but we have always a consistent number. So what we need to do here is we need to increase this total. No, sorry, not in this one. We need to look where do we do this one. So this should be I. Alright, let's save this and then let's look what happens. You will see that there will be still an alright empty array. Fair enough. So we say here plus I. Alright, so now we get the values. So we get 5, then we get 15, then we get 5, 5. The first one is 5, and then we get 5.6. Is that correct? So what is 5.6? So let's check here. 5.6. The fourth one is 5.6. Is that correct? Well, if you do this, you get 16 divided by 3. It's 5.6. Alright, then you have 9. The next one will be 9. So is that correct? 20 plus 2 plus 5 is 27. 27 divided by 3 equals 9. Alright, this is correct. So we already got our moving average here right now. So let's get this one in here. Alright, so once we got that, what are we going to do now with this? Well, basically we're going to put in this moving average array in here. So, oh, sorry, remove this brackets. I'll say this will be moving average. And then what we can do here, we can give it my first data set. Well, if you've watched the news, probably you heard of GameStop. Well, stock, whatever. Starbucks, always a nice one to have. Always have a good cup of coffee, and that's very good, basically. All right. So let's see here what Starbucks. Well, because we have nice green color, Starbucks is quite appealing. And then you can see here what's going on. All right. So it starts here with 0, all right, and then after a while it goes to this is 5. This is correct because we have here the value here, and then we have here the real value. We start. This is the official starting point. What I want to do here is probably to continue on here with a few items. Later on we will just extend. So this is here 5, so it's neutral. Now it starts to become here. According to this moving average here, the price is too low. Well, I cannot say that's correct. Well, let's be honest here because we're making up data. However, it goes up here, it surpasses here, and then it starts to say, okay, this is number 9. Moving average is 9, and it's above the average things, which is 20. So Starbucks, the stock Starbucks should be maybe a bit too high. It keeps on going up, and the moving average here is 17, and then it goes up again, and then here it takes a nosedive down to number 10. All right. I should have some real data in here. That would be probably more fun. Maybe I'll check that later on how to do that. What I'm going to do is, or how to get some real data. What I want to do here is I want to expand this a bit more. Let's put this here on 15, 22, 15, 20. And of course these numbers are not that realistic because you can see the percentage it goes up is basically very drastic. Alright, let's see here what happened then. If we keep on going. Alright, so you can see now something is happening. And what is happening is we're increasing the stock value or the stock data points, but the length here is not matching here. So it keeps on looping, and I'm sure that if we will look at the array, let's see if we have that, we have 14 data points here. But it doesn't show here. Why? Because we don't have 14 data points here, or the label. So we can do here, let's give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'll just get this. Let's add a few more. 9, and this could be days, which is commonly, although there should be like weekdays only, weekends should be skipped, but that's it for now. 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 14 data points according to our length here. You can see length 14 data points, 0 up to 13. So let's add up 2 more data points here. 22, 24. Alright. So according to our prediction here, let's check our moving average here. We have this. Goes up and down, up and down. Alright. Here it goes down. Here it starts to indicate this is the moving average, it's above average, and then it goes down here, and then it jumps up. All right, so this looks nice. So let me get some real data. Let's see if we can work with some real data here to see if this has any kind of value. We can also do 5, by the way. Let's do 5 here. If we do 5, you can see here it changes here as well. But I want to have some real data, so I'm going to get a stock data for now, and I'll pause the video for now. Alright, so I got some stock data from February 17 till the latest one is March 15. This is just recently, and there was some ups and downs in the market. But what I need to do here, because right now if I refresh, you can see here now it doesn't show yet. Alright, so we have to double check what's going on here as well. They're showing some mistakes here. And let's start and solve this one here, because these data here are going to insert in here. Alright, so I need to figure out what's going on here. Moving average, it gets the last 2 data. Apparently, we are not allowed to have the last 2 data as well. Oh, of course, I understand why this is, and you probably might know as well. Moving average number, because we're getting here the moving average number, probably here, push. This should be, if I'm not mistaken, eventually stop. Alright, we'll figure that one out. That's not a problem at all. For now, what I will do is, just to ensure that we don't have an issue, I'm going to remove these 2 here. Alright, so that forces the chart to break like that. Alright, now you can see we should have a zoom function here, because I realized that there is no zoom function here in ChartJS. Well, there is a plugin for that, but it doesn't work. Or at least I don't have that right now, so I cannot show you that, sadly enough. However, you can see here, according to our moving average, is, let's see, what is our moving average currently? Our moving average is based on 5. Let's do it to 3. Alright, refresh here. Oh, alright, okay, this is slightly better. And if we do this, you can see the stock is now trying to adjust, and this is our moving average. According to this, is the stock was too low. And then here it was, but it's starting to show. Here's some indicator. Wow, this is quite interesting, because it might give you some ideas. Of course, I cannot say this is very dangerous. Do not focus only on this. Do not use your investment strategy only on this stuff, because I don't know. So you can see here, because as you can see here, according to this here, would say, all right, here it starts to jump up again. But remember, if I'm aware in the charts, or at least in the stock, in this period here, this week here, there was like an intense period where there was a lot of negative news, and they called a bubble crash or whatever. So what happened is here, stock goes down, and then here it starts to reduce its decline, and the indicator moving average would say that this stock is far too low. Well, how much low? Well, it's just $1 difference here, of course. The average should be $1 higher per stock. So, and then it jumps up here. And then you would say, well, okay, I make $5 out of it. It's really surpassing it. You might say, okay, I'm going to sell now, because look, we're surpassing already it's $3 more. However, of course, this is not true. Or you can see here, well, somehow it does give you something, and then here it gets closer here. Then you might say, well, I'm going to take well, this is the moment. You might say, I will not buy yet because it's still too expensive. And then it jumps up here in one day, bam. There we are. Well, okay, this is just new. It's like I sound like a news reporter for the stocks market. However, it's just quite interesting to see that. And you can see here, it starts to indicate moving average is higher. Alright, and then it goes down, down, down. Here somewhere it starts to hit each other. And then it says here on March 8th to balance out, neutral, and then it starts to jump up, and then there you are. Alright, so what we can do here, who knows, if we do 10, let's save this, refresh. Oh, alright, this is not possible apparently, because the stock here, this is not built for that long because of this here. Most likely. So if I do here -10, this should work. Oh, okay. Doesn't work really exactly. No, this is not 100% recommended. Oh, alright, I'll just leave that one for now. Here we are. Put this back on 3. And there we are. So this is basically a moving average in chart.js. Is this really the perfect one? To be honest, I'm not satisfied yet fully. This one, oh, this should be an if statement. We should make an if statement out of this, where we get the first two. So we have this probably in here. So we say this and say if I equals 0, you say if I equals 0. So what are we going to do? We will just get these two here above. All right, that would probably be the best. So if I equals 0, or I equals, you can do strict equals, it's probably better. Makes it go faster. Then we say I equals 1. That's the first two data points. In that case, we want to push, or we want to do the following. So if that's the case, what we're going to do is we will say push moving average. What are we going to push? We're going to push the stock value here, which is push equal I. All right. And if that would be the only if statement, basically is helping us to control our if. All right. So that's if and else. We go in here. So if this works, let's double check here. Save this. Refresh. Oh, does not work, but we have an error here. Let's double check here on syntax is missing. All right, let's double check here. What are we missing? Else. No. Of course, this is missing here. Let's see, do I need to put this in here? Let's see, do we have that? All right, now we get that. Let's double check now what we have. Do we have everything? Are we missing data? You can see here now we have all the data and the moving average. We did an if statement here for the two. So this would basically, this one is slightly, well, probably here you can do it differently. Let's refactor this even more. Yes, we did this equals that or that. However, what we can do as well, we can say here the following. Moving average. If moving average is 3, so I should be -2. All right. So what we can do is this. If I is smaller, all right, or equal, then we have here moving average number minus, I guess -2 right now. Here we have, it's hard-coded. I do not like the hard-coded part, but I just don't know what's the right way to do it. Probably I can do here soft coding to make another variable that would figure out what it is. So that would be the only option, but that's all right for now. We save this -2. This should give us the right item as well. So then we have here a nicer refactored item. We could do here constant as well. Maybe the constant should be, this is the loop checker. Although I do not like too many variables, but for now, it's this minus what exactly. I'm not sure exactly minus how many. You can hard code it. There must be a formula for this, but probably something that you figure out that you can put a constant here using it for this and this. Although I don't know, I don't like it. I will check something else, but for now, if you look at this, this looks quite nice. This is how you can really do a moving average. And if we add up more stuff and we have more items, this keeps on going. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And sorry if it took too long, and maybe there's sometimes many refactorings. However, this is the common thing. The most important part here is once you have a working model, then you can refactor. Do not refactor once you, if you don't have yet a working model. So if you have any questions regarding to this, put them in the comment section below. If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to my channel where I cover a lot about JavaScript and ChartJS, because ChartJS is absolutely fun. And if you really want to become good in ChartJS, check out my ChartJS course on Udemy. You can find the link in the description box.